Now, I want to talk about the terrifying pro-Palestinian and sometimes just pro-Hamas protests that have erupted right across the world over the weekend. There were tens of thousands filling the entire length of College Street in Sydney's largest pro-Palestinian protest to date. In London, more than 100,000 marched, and we saw overnight terrifying scenes in Russia, in Dagestan, which is a devoutly Muslim area of the country. The airport was invaded as mobs looked for Jews to attack. Joining me to discuss this is President of the Australian Jewish Association, Dr. David Adler. David, welcome. Thank you for your time. What's your reaction to what you're seeing? How does the Jewish community in Australia feel about what's happening and what's happening right here at home?
Rita, thank you very much for putting a spotlight on this issue. It's dreadful. We have seen an eruption of anti-Semitism across the world, and some people are actually saying that this is reminiscent of the pre-Holocaust period where in Germany and other parts of Europe Jews were hunted. It's a dreadful situation, and the scenes in Russia at Dagestan certainly resemble that. Where they were breaking through doors, looking through the airport, simply because a flight had landed from Israel into Russia, and so they wanted to go and get the Jews. On a smaller level, we've actually seen this on the streets in Sydney and Melbourne. There have been death threats in Sydney, in the eastern suburbs. There's been a carload of guys of Arab, Middle Eastern appearance who were rolling down the window saying, where are the Jews? In other words, they were hunting Jews in Melbourne. There have been some arrests. There have been threats at beaches, Watson's Bay and Bondi. And I can tell you that our organisation has received dozens of threats online and through social media. We're in close contact with the anti-terrorism authorities and the counter-terrorism police, reporting it. The communities had to lift security precautions. I didn't think in my lifetime we'd see this in Australia. It's not Australian. It's dreadful.
Now, over in the US, there's footage of Broadway producer James L. Simon, who was caught tearing down Israeli hostage flyers in New York City. The hatred that would go towards doing that is just beyond me, David. I mean, these are pictures of innocent women and children who are being taken hostage. We don't know what their fate is, and yet people are triggered by these flyers and feel entitled to deface them or just rip them up.
Well, they're not making a political statement. They're not saying that we disagree with where the borders are around Israel or anything of this nature. This is really low. I mean, what sort of morality in order to rip up flyers or posters which is only appealing for the return of innocent children? I think all civilised people need to stand with us to condemn this practice. It's extraordinary. I know that in our community, just about everybody is personally affected. Everyone has friends and family in Israel. Many of us have had people that have been harmed as a result, including me. I've lost a cousin, a young woman who was murdered at the Supernova Music Festival. I only hope that her end was quick, because some of the reports of what was done to young women are very sickening. So again, this is not what we should be seeing in a civilised democracy, and we have imported a hatred. It's a dreadful thing, and we don't want to see it on our streets at all.
Now, at a pro-Palestinian rally in Vancouver, one of the speakers there labelled Hamas's October 7 attack as an amazing, brilliant offensive. Have a listen.
A feat of determination and ingenuity, only eclipsed by the amazing, brilliant offensive waged on October 7th.
David, it's just shocking. The mask is slipping with so many. There is this virulent anti-Semitism among so many in the left, and we are seeing it, whether it's in college campuses in the US, whether it's the squad amongst the Democrats, or whether it's people of positions of influence in the UK, or you could argue even some of the Greens right here in Australia. There is just this hatred that is being laid bare.
You're absolutely right. I mean, that particular example you showed is the equivalent of being part of a cheer squad for ISIS or a cheer squad for Nazis. Hamas has demonstrated that it is on an equally low level, if not even lower, doing the most barbaric things to innocent people, the torture, the shooting, slaughter of elderly people on the street, the slaughter of children, some beheaded, some having body parts removed. There have been forensic reports which are sickening, and as you probably know, about 200 international journalists were shown some of the body cam footage. Anyone who doesn't unconditionally condemn that sort of terrorism is not fit for public office, and that frankly includes the Greens. If they can't bring themselves, regardless of their political view, to unconditionally condemn what Hamas has done, they are not fit for public office, and all political parties should put them last.
Now, David, before we go, can you bring me an update with what's happening in Dagestan? You mentioned the scenes there at the airport, just frightening stuff, mobs of enraged people looking for Jews. They even invaded the tarmac. They were questioning people, demanding to see passports and mobile phones to establish whether they were travelling from Israel, whether they were Jewish. This is just incredible that this is happening in 2023. What can you tell me about the scenes in Dagestan?
Well, I mean, they're very frightening scenes, but my understanding is that they have been cleared. They kept all passengers on the plane, and the authorities have succeeded in clearing the airport. The airport has actually been closed completely. There was some damage done to it, and it won't be reopened for about a week or so.
David, thank you so much for your time this evening. Sorry we've run out of time. Thank you for your company tonight.